Hi Taurus, welcome to August. This is your horoscope and taroscope for the month ahead, and the energy for you this month is not necessarily the easiest. It's not a bad thing. You know, the sky in August is quite challenging for a lot of people. So there are remedies for it. There are things that we can do to alleviate some of the difficulties. Of course, with so much happening in your 12th and 9th house, there is a difficulty in asserting healthy boundaries and drawing lines and trusting in what is known. There's a little bit of ambiguity going on for you in general, and you're really sifting through with Mars in your 12th house of the subconscious, the unconscious, the below the surface, the what lies beneath kind of energy, having these clashing moments with your higher perspectives, the rule of law, the theories, the philosophies that you choose to align yourself with. All of this becomes a little bit wishy-washy. And you could have been feeling this month already, as we're a week in, you could have been feeling a little bit like you're dealing with quite wishy-washy people. Or you could feel like you're really sifting through some terrain emotionally that you've not sifted through before. Okay, so there are some very interesting energies coming up for you in your cards. There's some really positive things, but just to get through the hurt that seems to be within the Taurus spirit as we begin the month, I drew for you the Protection and the Moth card. So for a lot of you, I feel that you have recently been rejected, and the reason for it, Taurus, is that you're being protected from something. It's divine timing. You're being protected from some kind of repetition. You're releasing yourself from some kind of unhealthy patterns at the moment, and for you it feels quite heavy and it feels quite frustrating. But really what's happening here, Taurus, because that full moon in Aquarius, it has squared off with Uranus in your sign, in your first house, your sector of self. And it's really challenging the way that you view yourself. It's particularly challenging the way that you view yourself on a world view. You know, how you choose to identify, who you are as a career person, what success means to you, all these different types of things. But really, Taurus, what it's asking you to do is be a little easier on yourself. You've actually dodged some kind of bullet, because I feel like with the moth to the flame, for a long time you've been really seeking something, and you've been really drawn to something repetitively that is not necessarily healthy. Be it a type of person, be it a type of limiting self-belief. And when I say that, because I say that a lot in these, what I mean by that is that sometimes we genuinely believe that all people fit in a mold. It's like when they say that all men are you know, if you have a belief that all men are unfaithful, or you have a belief that all women use, you know, things like that. A limiting self-belief is something that you can be very drawn to because it gives you a false sense of security. You know, I know this to be true. And it's not necessarily that you want it to be true, but there's some kind of comfort in it in a way that's not necessarily happy or healthy. It's not something that you want to feel comfortable in, but it's just something that you've gotten used to. A belief in the world around you. And for you, Taurus, you're actually moving out of that right now. So Uranus is trying to liberate you from those type of beliefs, and the way that it's doing it is actually shaking up your career, but also shaking up the way that you view yourself, shaking up the way that you believe yourself to be seen in particular. Not even necessarily how you see yourself, but maybe in learning how other people see you, maybe in learning how other people think of you, which is, of course, you know, the old saying, what other people think of me is none of my business. But with the Aquarius full moon, you know, you can be getting all these different mixed signals of how people see you, and it's confusing the way that you see you. You know, you maybe have had an experience recently with a rejection of some kind where you have felt like, well, people must think I'm unworthy. You're being challenged here. You're being redirected. You're being rerouted in particular. With so much going on with Aries and with Capricorn, you may be feeling quite dissatisfied with your life and your life purpose. But there's some really good stuff coming up. So for one thing, Taurus, with that full moon in your career clashing with your first house, you really want to break free of something. You really want more liberation. You want more autonomy. You want more freedom. You want to be calling some kind of shots. I think for a lot of you, you want to be leading people. You want to be showing people the ropes. You want to be showing people what to do. You want to be teaching and educating people. I think for a lot of you with the Knight of Wands in particular, you may be basing, if you have a particular passion or you know what your calling is, you may be basing that on somebody you admire very, very, very much. So somebody, some kind of idol, some kind of hero, someone that you're basing these things on. What I see for you coming up in the next 2 months, Taurus, for a lot of you is because the abundance card actually came up twice, so abundance is here. I think for a lot of you, you work in very challenging environments, because one of the cards that came up in the middle of all this work stuff was the hostilities card. You work in a very challenging environment, or you're feeling very challenged by your colleagues, and this is more to do with you reflecting outward that you don't actually like what they're saying, you don't like what they're doing, you want to change it, you want to challenge it, you don't like certain behaviors, certain mindsets, and even with so much going on in the clash between your 9th house, you know, you don't like the legal aspects of it, because one of the other cards that's come up is the contracts card. I think for a lot of you, you are in the next few months going to be, so there's the contract card. So if you're in law, this is really auspicious, or if you're in public policy or policy making or something, I think for a lot of you in the next couple of months, I see you in particular in September, maybe for a lot of you, signing a different contract, signing a new contract that's more fulfilling emotionally, that is more abundant, that can give you more resources, that you can do more with. And maybe this is a promotion in your current job, maybe this is signing a house, maybe this is, there's some kind of signature required in the next couple of months, Taurus, that's really leading you towards something very nice. But with the hostilities card and the 3 of Pentacles coming out twice, I think for a lot of you there are challenging people in your workspace. And one of the other cards that came up is the start delegating card. Ask others to help you instead of doing everything by yourself. So I think there's some imbalances going on for a lot of you in work, and you really need to challenge that. You really need to stand up for yourself, to ask for more help, to ask for more of what you need, you know, asking for more resources, because I think a lot of you are feeling really very stuck in some aspect of career. And it may not be that you feel like your career is not moving, but you may be coming into contact with people who really need to expand their mind. Now the difficulty with that is that with so much going on in the boundaries section, all the boundaries are blurred with you at the moment, with Mars and Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter. It's all kind of blurry, and I think that's leading to dissatisfaction on your behalf. So one of the other things that came up, which is quite beautiful actually, especially considering you've been feeling quite rejected lately, is the King of Cups, the 10 of Cups, and the World. So there is joy, contentment, gratitude, the path towards enlightenment. Something really beautiful. Could be with a water sign, could be with a Scorpio, a Cancer, Pisces. For a lot of you, Taurus, I think that in your relationships, you have been seeking, if you're single, or even in relationships, you've been seeking some kind of, I think this is for people that are single, but a lot of you have been dealing with love 'em or leave 'em types. You're very drawn to charismatic people because you're bored in your career, or you're bored in your circumstances. And because you're not working through something in your private life with yourself, you're drawing in people that seem very fun and charismatic, but are actually very emotionally bland. Do you know what I'm saying? So for those of you that are single, this is just for you, but I think you have to be careful of dating somebody that you work with or you're in school with, because it might make you actually feel more isolated or kind of stint your journey. I think a lot of you are going for somebody, I think in the next 3 months, for a lot of you that are single, I think there is somebody coming in who's actually really emotionally fulfilling. Someone who's got a lot of wonderful emotions to give, somebody who's very, they could be called Michael, because this is the Michael card, so just to be specific, that's maybe for like 1 or 2 people. it could be a Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer, but there's really lovely energy coming in with a water sign. So maybe you're in a relationship with a water sign that is long term, that's maybe taking on a new phase in its life. Maybe you're completing a successful project in work with a water sign. Maybe you're getting on very well with water signs in particular this month. But there seems to be a very fulfilling phase coming up for you, which is very exciting, Taurus. With the Ten of Cups and the King of Cups, I can only see this as someone who's a very emotionally giving partner, someone who really makes you feel happy, supported, cared for, all these different things. But this could also be in terms of your career, you following your passion, and everything starts to line up because of it. Because I think for a lot of you, with the full moon having been in Aquarius, you know, there's some aspect of how you think the world sees you that needs to be released. It needs to be tied up in a bow. It needs to be understood better, that you're not quite getting how other people see you. And even if you did, you know, it's so fluctuating. You know, you're a Taurus, you can be very stuck in your mind about things, but other people, the way that they view you can be like this. So there's no point in knowing. It would drive you mad if you knew. But with the abundance cards and the career cards, Taurus, it really looks like in the next couple of months, you are, I think for a lot of you, it's self-employed in some way or freelance. Because there's an emphasis on spending a bit more time alone. So maybe you're working away from colleagues and you're split between being a team player and working alone. But I think for a lot of you, you are going to be signing new contracts, making new policies, research, these kind of things. And I think you're really challenging the people around you to level up a bit more. I think you're really inspiring people to do more in terms of your career and also in terms of your love life. I think for a lot of you with this Moth card, you're tired of people who look very bright and shiny and flying into them. And this can be to do with career as well. Take what applies. It could be friendship. You're tired of flying into the brightness and getting burned. It really is one thing I'm seeing. And I do think that a lot of you are picking people that seem very exciting, even in friendships, because we've had this come up for you recently too. Even in friendships, you've been picking people that seem very exciting, very flamboyant, very outgoing, because you feel like you're lacking that in yourself, or you feel as though that will get you to be seen. And that's not for everybody, that could just be for a couple, but I think for a lot of you, you really are starting to release this. And I think for many, with the protection card, call back your power, cut the cords, I think a lot of you have a fire sign or a Virgo in your past that really, really did you over. It really, really has upset you, and you have to like cut that cord. You have to decide that you're just done with that person. You're just releasing that from your life. Or, you know, maybe it was a friendship, maybe it was a work situation, because there just seems to have been a fire sign or somebody, maybe it was even someone you worked with where it went wrong, maybe that's what that was, but something that has left you feeling very lonely, very isolated, very confused, very unhappy because you saw their potential and they didn't seem to. Do you know what I'm saying? So King of Cups, Ten of Cups, and the World, I feel like a lot of you are moving into really beautiful situations, really lovely, exciting, and I do think it's in the next 3 months. So like, what's the next 3 months? We're August, of the last few months of the year. It's just scary. I think a lot of you are moving into, especially if you're worried about relationships, you know, don't worry, because I've seen this with so many of my Taurus friends in the last couple of years, is this kind of struggle with meeting somebody who is emotionally sound. You know, for Taurus people, your opposite sign is Scorpio. So your 7th house is Scorpio phonic. So you really need someone who has emotional depth. You need someone who has the ability to be protective of not only, you know, you as a person, but your feelings. You know, it was protective of your heart. You know, will not stand in the way of your happiness, will run parallel to you. Because one thing that is very abundantly clear, Taurus, is that you're looking for somebody at the moment, or you're looking for a career, or you're looking for a child, or you're looking for a family member. You're putting your happiness in somebody else's hands, be they current or be they futuristic, be it someone you've envisioned in your mind. You're putting your happiness in their hands, and people aren't meant to make you happy. They're meant to run parallel with you and not get in the way of your happiness. You're supposed to pursue your happiness. So that's one big key that is coming up to you if you're trying to attract more fulfilling relationships or more fulfilling adventures, Taurus, is that you must cultivate your own happiness for you to draw in this energy. But you are coming out of a cycle, and with Mars being in Aries, I see the main thing for you, Taurus, with this, you know, because the King of Cups is 12th house as well. With this energy, with Mars being there, you have no choice but to grow spiritually, emotionally, and really get to the root of your subconscious. And I think for so many of you, you will benefit from setting yourself boundaries, setting yourself rules, setting yourself your own personal law with the 9th house there in your philosophy. So you're going to benefit so much for the next 2 months if you allow yourself to do that soul work, to work on things. For some of you, it could be astrology. For some of you, it could be any form of healing is really leading you to great satisfaction. And you'll wonder why you didn't do it sooner, but that doesn't matter. It's all part of the timing and the journey, and don't beat yourself up for what opportunities you may have felt like were missed. I think for many of you, this protection card is saying that whatever has rejected you was protecting you. So I will jump into the extended link below, Taurus, if you want to join me there, and if not, I'll see you in the next set of readings. Bye.